The glass house. No one built the glass house. At least, that's what the people of Whitby Hollow always said. It was simply their one morning standing in the field beyond the ridge, a perfect cube of glass gleaming in the pale dawn. No seams, no doors, no reflection, just a faint humming, like the sound of air before a thunderstorm. Children threw stones at it. They vanished before they hit. Birds never landed on it. And at night, if you stood too close, you could see shapes moving inside. Lydia Crane first saw the glass house when she was 9. Her father, the local sheriff, had taken her on a drive after her mother died, trying to keep her mind off the funeral. But when the sun rose over the ridge, the structure was there. Smooth, silent, shimmering like a frozen wave. Her father pulled the truck to a stop and stared for a long time. "Was that here yesterday?" Lydia asked. He didn't answer. He just gripped the steering wheel tighter. By evening, the whole town had come to see it. Farmers, priests, children with slingshots, all whispering in awe and fear. The reverend claimed it was an omen. The mayor said it was art. But the next morning, the mayor was gone. His truck was found parked by the ridge, engine running, driver's door open. And when people looked into the glass house that night, there were two shapes moving inside. 20 years passed. Lydia had left Whitby Hollow, become a journalist in the city, built a life that didn't smell like wet hay and regret. But she never forgot the glass house or her father's face that last day before he disappeared too. The police called it suicide. She never believed them. The last thing he'd written in his notebook were 5 words, scribbled so hard the pen tore the paper. "It shows what you bury." So when the letter came, no return address, only a smear of dirt and her name, she didn't hesitate to open it. Inside was a photograph of the glass house. And standing before it was her father. The photo was dated October 12th, 3 days ago. Lydia returned to Whitby Hollow under a storm-gray sky. The town hadn't changed much. Same leaning barns, same cracked church bell. The field, though the field was different. The air felt wrong, too still. The glass house looked smaller than she remembered, but that same vibration hummed beneath the surface, like something breathing. She parked her car and stepped closer. The surface wasn't glass exactly, more like water pretending to be solid. Her reflection was distorted, rippling. And behind it, in the faint glow, she could see herself. Or rather, a version of herself. Standing inside, watching her with wide, calm eyes. "Dad?" she whispered. Something moved behind the figure. Then the humming deepened. Sheriff Billings met her that evening at the diner. A friend of her father's, now gray and thick around the middle. "Shouldn't have come back, Lyd," he said. "The Hollow doesn't like people digging." She showed him the photograph. "Then tell me what this is." He glanced once and slid it back. "You ever notice how it never rains near the ridge? Not once in 20 years. You think that's natural?" "Is that a yes or a no?" He sighed. "We sealed the area off for a reason. After your father went missing, we covered it up? Contained it," he said softly. "You can't destroy it. You can only keep it from spreading." Lydia frowned. "Spreading?" He looked out the window, toward the ridge. The storm clouds above were swirling, but never crossing that invisible line over the field. "When people disappear," he said, "the house gets brighter." That night, Lydia parked by the field again. The hum was louder now, vibrating through her chest like a heartbeat. The surface of the structure shimmered faintly, colors twisting like oil on water. She held up a flashlight. For a second, her beam caught something writing etched faintly into the surface. She brushed the glass and saw words appear in reverse, as though written from inside. Not reflection, reconstruction. She stumbled back. Her breath fogged in the cold air, though the night was warm. The hum rose in pitch, and for an instant, she saw the inside clearly. A table, a chair, a single figure sitting with its hands folded. Her father. She ran. Back to her motel, her pulse hammering, every streetlight flickering as she passed. She didn't sleep. She just replayed that one image in her mind, his calm face, sitting in the dark glass. Waiting. At dawn, she drove to the old records office, hoping to find something: schematics, survey reports, anything. But the archives had been purged. The only surviving record was a file marked Project Aeon, W glass phenomenon. Inside were grainy photographs and two typed pages dated 1952, decades before the structure had supposedly appeared. One passage was underlined. The construct appears spontaneously following exposure to mass trauma. The entity replicates matter to preserve informational residue, not time travel reconstruction through resonance. All contact results in cognitive mirroring. Subject becomes source. Lydia's stomach turned. The glass house wasn't showing people reflections. It was copying them. She needed proof. That evening, as the sun set over the ridge, she brought her father's old notebook and a digital recorder. The field was silent except for the hum. The glass surface pulsed faintly, like a living thing. "Dad," she said, voice shaking. "If you can't hear me, I'm here." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then her recorder flickered. The playback light flashed on its own. A whisper came through. "You shouldn't have followed." She froze. "Dad, it doesn't want me. It wants you." The hum deepened again. The surface rippled. And behind the glass, her father's figure stood up slowly. But the face wasn't right, eyes too dark, smile too calm. "Come see what you buried." The world seemed to tilt. The grass flattened in a circle around her as the air pressure dropped. Her flashlight cracked. The hum became a roar. Then silence. When Lydia opened her eyes, she was standing inside the glass house. Her breath caught. The air shimmered faintly blue, and her footsteps echoed like walking through hollow metal. All around her, the glass walls showed a distorted version of the field, dark and still, like a painting. Her father was there. Or something wearing his shape. He smiled gently. "You brought the notebook." She held it up. "What are you?" He looked at his hands. "I was Lydia Crane once. Now I'm the pattern left behind." He gestured to the walls. "Every lie, every regret, it rebuilds what was lost. That's how it feeds." "Feeds on what?" "Remembrance," he said. "The more you look, the clearer it becomes, until you forget which side you started on." Lydia stepped back. The walls began to shift, showing scenes: her childhood home, her mother's funeral, the day her father vanished. The images flickered like film reels. Her reflection in the wall smiled when she didn't. "You buried me," the reflection whispered. "No," Lydia said, trembling. "You forgot me." The glass rippled, and she saw herself as a child again, standing by the ridge, staring up at the glowing cube. Her father beside her, expression unreadable. "Dad, what did you do?" she whispered. He looked down. "I opened it." The hum rose until it filled her skull. She dropped to her knees, clutching her head. Why? She screamed. To see if grief could be undone. The glass flared white. When she woke again, she was lying in the field. Morning sunlight spilled across the grass. The glass house was gone. For a moment, she thought it was over. Then she saw her reflection in the side mirror of her car. It smiled first. Days later, the sheriff came to check the ridge. He found Lydia's car door open, engine running, her recorder on the seat. The last entry played automatically when he touched it. It's not a house. It's a memory trying to stay alive. When he looked up, the field was empty except for a faint shimmer, like heat above the grass. He turned to leave. Then, faintly, behind him, came a sound like wind through glass. 3 months later, travelers passing through Whitby Hollow began reporting strange lights near the ridge. A faint cube shape glowing in the fog. The locals didn't go near it. They said it comes and goes, appearing wherever loss takes root. Sometimes small, like a mirror. Sometimes large enough to walk into. Always the same hum. Always the same message carved faintly on its surface. Not reflection, reconstruction. And if you listen closely on quiet nights when the fog is low, you can hear voices whispering from inside. They say everyone who looks too long finds their own version waiting. And once you see it move, you'll never know which side of the glass you're standing on.